In this episode of the Chellacast, we're going to do a deep dive into what is our 2019 lineup. We're going to go through the headliners and I'll let you know what I thought Goldenvoice got right and what Goldenvoice got wrong. Plus, I'll give you my sleeper picks for 2019. All of that and much, much more. My name is Grayson Gregory and I'm the host of the one and only all Coachella podcast, the Chellacast. And this is your 2019 lineup breakdown. So off the top, the rollout. What did everybody think about the process of how Coachella dropped the lineup? Judging by all the posts I saw on Reddit, I certainly wasn't the only one that was dying of a heart attack every time I got one of those mobile notifications from Twitter.
Oh, come on. It's not real, Stanley. Don't have a heart attack. No.
Now, we all know that Coachella loves to troll us on lineup drop day, but I actually liked the fact that Coachella used the lineup drop day to highlight some lesser known acts. As I mentioned, the greatest part of the process for me was finding out about Cola Boy, Calypso Rose, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this K-pop's band name, which was the final tweet in that tweet thread of Hayuko. I think that's right, which I've since found out means Sunday in Korean, at least I think. But nonetheless, that's what the internet told me, so that's what I'm going with. Cola Boy seems like some badass disco fun. Calypso Rose seems like the perfect band to puff that little special vape pen to while watching a set during the day.
Sitting by the ocean, where she feels so sad.
And holy shit, how rad was the K-pop band Hayuko. Hayuko. Those dudes can play their asses off. I'm super pumped to see what they have in store for Coachella. I'll be interested to see if those posts help boost those acts' turnout during the festival, but that's what I loved about the rollout. But here's what I hated, that they rolled out the lineup that way. With the Kanye news breaking earlier in the day, more on that later, there was just so much uncertainty whether or not they would actually get the lineup at the end of that tweet thread. I felt like Goldenvoice was just sitting in the Coachella subreddit and kept trying to fuck with us to keep us on our toes. Hey, Goldenvoice, it worked.
You son of a bitch.
I believe the first 2 to 3 tweets were sent every 15 minutes, so we thought we kind of had that pattern figured out. Then what seemed like days later, although I'm sure it was only an hour or two, we finally got our 2019 lineup. My first impression of the lineup, and by the lineup I mean the headliners, Secret Time? I yelled out in agony. I yelled, no, out loud. Mainly because I had a $1,000 bet with my brother over Christmas Eve dinner that Ariana Grande would not be on the lineup. So even musical tastes aside, let's just say I wasn't stoked that she was our Sunday headliner. So let's just be honest for a second. Are these the greatest headliners Coachella's ever given us? No? Are they still good headliners? Maybe? But the original plan was never to have Gambino, Tame Impala, and Ariana Grande closing out Sunday. If you follow the Coachella sub as religiously as I do, or if you read any of the music blogs about Coachella, then it appears over the last few months, these were never our 3 intended headliners. Just going off the rumors that most people trusted, Coachella's original plan was for Childish Gambino to be on Friday, Justin Timberlake to be on Saturday, and then to close out the weekend, Kanye West on Sunday. So why didn't we get that group of headliners, you ask? Well, JT had 2 different sets of dates that were pushed back due to bruised vocal cords. And then with his most rescheduled dates, JT was 99.9999999% out. So it appears that once JT had to reschedule his second round of dates, that pushed him out of the realm of Coachella, and that's when Tame Impala stepped in. Then Wednesday, on January 2nd, the day that the lineup was due to roll out, we all woke up to the news that Kanye had dropped out. Multiple sources had said that Kanye's dispute was over the size of the stage. Kanye made it clear he wouldn't perform on what was a traditional just 60 by 40 foot stage because it was artistically limiting.
I'm a sick fuck, I like a quick fuck.
Reports are that Goldenvoice didn't want the stage to be removed or altered, so it was at that time when Ye decided to bow out and inform Goldenvoice that he would no longer be closing Coachella. And according to reliable source Alex Young of Consequence of Sound, he said that all happened within 24 hours of Coachella dropping the lineup. So, of course, Kanye did what Kanye usually does. So that left Goldenvoice ready to roll out the lineup to all of us with a headliner that just told them to kick rocks. And at that time is when they made the call to Ariana Grande's team to have her fill in for that third and final slot. So if you're mad at the headliners, just let that sink in for a second. I think most Coachella goers would have been stoked at the lineup of Gambino, Tame Impala, and Kanye, but what the fuck else are they supposed to do when a headliner drops out in the 9th hour? Kanye, with all of his crazy antics throughout the years, had made a lot of people nervous of him headlining Coachella anyways, so it remains to be seen, but we may have dodged a bullet with him deciding to bow out anyways. Even all the MAGA stuff aside, Kanye's always been a loose cannon. Ask anybody that's ever been to a Kanye show, you never knew if he was going to show up on time, if he was going to show up at all, or if he was going to go on one of those epic Kanye breakdown rants in the middle of a performance. I completely empathize with the people that aren't too stoked on the headliners. I mean, me personally, I would have loved to have seen someone like Mumford & Sons get one of those headliner spots. But hey, different strokes for different folks. And spoiler alert, the festival is not about the headliners. I think Goldenvoice did the best job they could considering all of that chaos. But having said all that, let's get into the lineup, and more importantly, let's get into your 2019 Coachella headliner. Kicking things off Friday night is Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, with what is said to be Childish Gambino's last performance ever. Gambino is coming off the video of the year for This Is America. I'm sure you saw it. And people have been worried about whether or not he has the catalog to garner a headlining spot. I've spoken to many people that have seen Gambino's This Is America tour, and they've all said the same thing. It's awesome. They said he has more than enough songs to fill us a lot of time, and with a new album on the horizon, as long as it's not a flop, and if he does go on to, in fact, retire the name Childish Gambino after Coachella, then we could be setting ourselves up for a great night of music that will be a performance that people will be talking about for years to come. If I took a shot for every comment or tweet that I read that said, "Who the fuck is Tame Impala?" I would have been blacked out just after a few flicks of the thumb scrolling through social media. But we're not worried about those people. We're talking about you guys, the smart music fan. You, the smart music fan that knows Tame Impala is no stranger to Coachella, and this certainly isn't going to be their first time headlining a major music festival. They headlined Chicago's Pitchfork Festival back in July with Lauryn Hill and the Fleet Foxes. Whenever Tame Impala has come up amongst my friends over the last few years, inevitably one of my friends goes, "Tame Impala? I've never heard of them." To which I usually say, "Yes, you do." And then after playing them tracks like The Less I Know, or Elephant,
But it feels like an elephant shaking his big great trunk for the hell of it.
the reaction is usually, "Oh, I know these guys." I believe this will be Tame Impala's third time at Coachella. Don't quote me on that. It could be 4. I only saw 3, with their last time being in 2015 as they were sub-headliners to AC/DC. With them already being a sub before, especially to AC/DC, I think it was inevitable that Tame Impala would eventually go on to headline Coachella. So maybe it was going to be 2020, and maybe we're getting them a year early in 2019, but with JT falling out and a new album on the way, I think Coachella's ahead of the curve with already putting them at the top of that headlining spot. Ariana Grande, the person that cost me $1,000 to my brother. You kept seeing her name pop up on the Coachella side with people saying, "Oh, what about Ariana Grande? Oh, what if Ariana Grande?" But when you looked at her tour schedule with her having shows both Friday and Saturday night of both weekends of Coachella, I don't think that there was ever a possibility of her playing until Kanye finally bowed out. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but if you just look at tour schedules and how most people try and fill in the holes of what bands or what acts might be playing at Coachella, it did not seem like she was a real possibility. As mentioned before, we've now found out via Coachella insider Alex Young of Consequence of Sound, who's a guy that's called headliners correct and other artists on the lineup correct in years past, so that's why we deem him a credible source. He said that he had information that Kanye did in fact just pull out within 24 hours of the lineup coming out, and that is when Goldenvoice called Ariana Grande to fill that spot. And look, I'm not Ariana Grande's target demo.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Would I have liked to see that slot go to someone else? Yes, of course. But what was Goldenvoice supposed to do? I've heard she has a rabid fan base that mirrors Beyonce's Beehive or Nicki Minaj's Barbs, but here's to just hoping that they don't show up and camp all day long like the Beehive did and ruin those earlier sets. But that's what makes Coachella so special. You don't like this act? Then go find one you like. No reason to complain over spilled milk. Go out and have the time of your life. But Ariana is not even my biggest issue with the festival lineup. My biggest gripe about the lineup is all the repeat acts at the top that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years. But before I get into that, let's talk about what Coachella got right with the top billed acts. Number 1, the obvious Rufus Du Sol.
There's no place I've ever been.
Coming off a brand new album and a well-received North American tour, I think we all would have been shocked if Goldenvoice had not booked Rufus for the festival this year. To me, they were just as solid as a lock this year as ODESZA was last year. Their third and most recent studio album, Soulless, which was released in October of last year, was well received by both critics and fans alike. I held off on seeing them on their most recent tour because I wanted my first time to be able to see them at Coachella. So Goldenvoice, thank you. I'll be at Rufus Du Sol this year. Number 2, the French King of Darkness, Gustafsson. With the announcement of his first new album since 2015 and with the release of his latest track off that album, Reset, the writing was on the wall and in some instances, quite literally. This will be his first performance, not just in the States, but around the world since 2016. So this was a great get for Coachella. Ask anybody that saw this performance back in 2015 in the wee little tent of the Mojave, and they can tell you how amazing that performance was. Well, what's left of them, because I think a lot of them are still melting away. By the way, how crazy is it that just 4 years ago, acts like Gustafsson and Kygo were playing in the Mojave? A lot's changed in those few short years, and I think that also shows the depth of all these Coachella lineups. Again, the festival's not just about the headliners. Number 3, Aphex Twin. Richard James, or as he's better known as Aphex Twin, will be making his long-awaited return to the Polo Fields. Aphex had just dropped his new EP, Collapse, in September, which left both old and new Coachella goers bonding for his return, and he will be making his return after an 11-year gap. If last year you missed out on groups like Soulwax or JMJ, then don't make the same mistake this year of missing out on Aphex Twin. FYI, I went against my better judgment and missed both of those acts last year. Moving on, number 4, and hear me out. K-pop band Blackpink. Now, I never heard of them prior to the lineup rollout, and I'm aware Twitter isn't the best barometer, but if you look at all the tweets immediately following the lineup drop, you'll be inundated with people freaking out that not only had they made the lineup, but they were billed so high on said lineup. And hey, you know what? I gave them a listen. Some of the songs are sick. Some of those beats got my foot thumping. I wasn't that mad at some of the shit they were putting out.
Hit you with that do-do-do-do-do. Hit you with that do-do-do-do-do.
And remember last year when everybody lost their collective minds over Cardi B, not just being on the lineup, but being billed so high on that lineup? If you're looking back and using revisionist history, Goldenvoice looked pretty damn smart in what they did. Now, of course, Invasion of Privacy hadn't come out yet, and that album was pretty damn good when it did come out, but everybody was pissed that she was billed so high, and yet she had one of the biggest crowds of all of 2018, and that's exactly what I think Blackpink is poised to do this year. Number 5, all that rap and hip-hop. I mean, Kid Cudi, Wiz Khalifa, YG, Anderson and the comeback kid himself, Pusha T. If you're a fan of rap and hip hop, then you gotta be stoked to see all those acts in the first couple lines of the lineup. Now, would Cudi had made the lineup at Goldenvoice known Kanye was gonna drop out? Who the hell knows? But after watching his Kids See Ghost performance at Camp Flog Gnaw, I'm glad he's on the lineup, and I'm pumped to sing Pursuit of Happiness with tens of thousands of my closest friends.
I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shine ain't always gonna be gold.
And motherfucking Pusha T?
If you know, you know.
To me, Daytona was hands down the rap album of the year last year, and I'm not even including the assault he put on Drake. In case being one of the greatest rap lyricists of all time, being the president of good music, did you also know that Pusha T had created the I'm loving it jingle for McDonald's, and also the Arby's We Got the Meats?
Arby's, we have the meats.
Don't believe me? Look it up. Fact check me. Prove me wrong. I'll wait. But I heard a recent episode with him on the Joe Budden podcast, and my mind was blown to find out those two things. But I loved how well Pusha did in 2018. I feel like this was kind of his breakout year for the younger generation. Those younger kids that might have been sleeping on Pusha or didn't know about the things he did in the early 2000s now got to see him display all the things that make Pusha T, well, Pusha fucking T. And as a born and raised Californian, I was super stoked to see YG and Anderson make the lineup.
Yes, Lord!
Anderson's performance in 2016 was a thing that dreams are made of. In case you didn't know, he brought out the likes of, Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, and this was during a day set.
It's the motherfucking D.R.E. Dr. Dre, motherfucker. You know I'm rocking with my nigga AP. Straight off the fucking streets of CPT.
And although you should never go see an act just because of the surprise guests and who might come out, I'm definitely intrigued to see who Anderson .Paak, YG, and Wiz Khalifa could be bringing to the polo fields with them. Number 6, all that electronic dance music. Although your standard big room EDM DJs took the top billings, if you're a fan of house and techno music, then you know our undercard is so stacked with acts like Nora and Pure, Nina Kravitz, Dusky, Camel Fat, Walker and Royce, Fortet. There's just too many to name. If you're a house and techno fan, the anxiety of schedule conflicts is real as fuck. And we finally got Eric Prydz, albeit as Cerez D, but Prydz is finally on the lineup. And quickly, can we talk about the disrespect shown to Chris Lake? I mean, how the hell is he billed below Fisher? Fisher's a dude that has blown up since his Do Live performance last year at Coachella.
I'm losing it.
And for those of you that don't know, Chris Lake is actually the ghost producer of Fisher. Look, this is well known. It's not something people try to hide, and people just love Fisher for his antics, so nobody really gives a fuck. And maybe I'm in my own little bubble over here, but I thought Losing It next to Mo Bamba were definitely the two tracks of summer 2018. Who else is ready to break their wrist with me in April with Fisher? But now it's time to be a little negative, and here's with what I think Goldenvoice got wrong. Number 1, the repeat billing. Hey, I'm a basic ass bitch and I love dance music in the Sahara, but did we really need to get Dylan Francis, DJ Snake, and Zedd again? I mean, look, Dylan Francis and DJ Snake were just there in 2017, and I'm aware it's been a long time since 2016 since Zedd was there. Couldn't Goldenvoice have booked someone else in those slots? I know the Sahara is going to be packed. I'm aware they're going to be crowd favorites. People will flock to go see them, but weren't those just kind of missed opportunities to be able to sprinkle in a few new acts? And don't think I'm being a hater, as I've seen all those acts in probably the last 12 to 18 months. I just would have liked to have seen someone else new in there. Maybe a Grizz, maybe Nero making their return. Hell, even Gareth Emery and Laserface. By the way, if you don't know who Gareth and Laserface is, just take a look at this and imagine what it would look like in Sahara. Number 2, Khalid, J Balvin, and Bad Bunny. Maybe I'm going to show my age here, and again, I'm probably not these acts' target demographics, and I understand they've all had big hits over the last couple years, and they've been climbing the charts, but to put this into perspective, Khalid is in the exact slot Odessa was last year. If you remember, Odessa was on main stage right before Eminem, closing out Sunday night. Does that seem like where Khalid should be to you? If anything, I thought Khalid should be on the lineup last year, and I thought that was a missed opportunity. But having all three of those acts that high up, I'm not so sure about. And as far as J Balvin goes, for anyone that follows the rumors as close as I do, for like a 2-hour span there, it was being rumored that he might be a headliner. So let's just be thankful that didn't happen. It's all semantics. Again, if that's what you're into, I'm happy for you. Go out and have a great time. And lastly, let's get into my 3 sleeper picks. Number 1, Turnstile. If you're a fan of old school punk and hardcore, then Turnstile is 100% the band for you. You liked H2O, Pennywise, then definitely give Turnstile a listen. Their most recent release, Time and Space, is filled top to bottom with in-your-face hardcore jams. If you're looking to let out a little bit of aggression, want to throw yourself in a mosh pit, then definitely go check out Turnstile. With so many bands like Turnstile, listening to them on Spotify is completely different than going and checking them out live. So I implore you to just go search on the YouTube, search Turnstile live performance, and I think you'll be blown away with the energy that they bring to each and every performance. Number 2, Idris Elba. Yes, that Idris Elba. After the lineup drop, I found that not only is he a house DJ, but he's also a pretty fucking good producer, and you can check out some of his tracks on Spotify and Apple Music. If you hop on over to YouTube, you'll find he has numerous sets recorded, and my God, the dude can fucking throw down. For all my Office fans out there, I guess soccer wasn't the only thing Charles Minor was good at. I'm looking forward to seeing that Idris Elba in like that 3 to 4 o'clock set in the Yuma tent. Who's coming with me?
All I want to know is, who's coming with me? Who's coming, man?
And my 3rd sleeper pick is Bakar. Or is it Baker? I'm not quite sure, as he's not that well known of an act. There's not a ton of information on him online, so real quick, I'm just going to read from his Facebook bio. And it says that he was born and raised in Camden Town, London. Bakar is a rising artist to show what you're missing out on if you think the only exciting new music coming out of the British capital is grime, rap, or electronic. Like I said, there's not a ton of info on him online. He only has 6,000 followers on SoundCloud and about 2,500 likes on Facebook, so this could be Bakar's breakout festival. But I think if you're a fan of Kid Cudi's more rock-like tracks, or for anybody that used to be a fan of Block Party back in the day, then you're going to be pleasantly surprised with what Bakar brings to the table.
Big dreams, rolls on his own wage, got big dreams. I've seen all the shit he's seen, never had a daddy's only 15.
So that's it. That was your 2019 Coachella artist breakdown. If you feel like I snubbed one of your favorite artists, didn't get into enough genres, fucked something up, you're probably right. Thank God I have a few months to make up for it before we're all dancing on the polo fields together. If you didn't check out the podcast last year, I'm going to be bringing on some people from the subreddit, going to be reaching out to some guests, and I hope to be even interviewing some of you so you can tell me some of your crazy stories, or if you have any tips or tricks for those newcomers heading out to Coachella for the first time in 2019. If you want to find some like-minded people who want to stay up to date with all things Coachella, make sure to hop over to Reddit and join the sub, or if you're on Facebook, go join the Reddit Coachella Facebook group. I'll have links for both of those pages down below. Thanks so much for checking out the 2019 Chellacast lineup breakdown. Make sure to give me a follow on all socials at Grayson_Gregory, and I'll see you again soon with episode 2 of the one and only all Coachella podcast, the Chellacast. Happy Coachella, everybody. Peace.